Hey everyone, welcome to Village Idiots. My name's Alex Whaley and I'm joined by Josh Shinner. How are you, Josh?
I'm very well, thank you, Alex. Very well.
Lovely to hear, mate. We are part of a world where competence means nothing, and it really is all about how you play the game, and how we play is with a beer in one hand at all times. This world is village cricket, and our team is Clapham Cricket Club. Before we go any further, Josh, and introduce our guest for today, our first ever guest, why are we doing this?
Well, first of all, it's something to do while we're locked in the house for most hours of the day. And but mainly, Alex, it's to celebrate all things village cricket. Because when I think of those long summer months, I think of traipsing halfway across London with a heavy kit bag, excited for another chance of glory, yet fully prepared for an afternoon of dire disappointment. But as we all know, win or lose, sharing a beer with my mates afterwards and laughing about the many, many, many failures is something that I will always enjoy. Unless, of course, there is a pandemic to ruin it, that is.
That's never going to happen, though, so I think we're all right.
No,
fine. Speaking of excitement and glory, however, it's with great pleasure that I would like to introduce our very first ever guest. He goes by the name of Dad, and I think just by that nickname alone is a pretty good indication of how much esteem we hold this person in. Are you there, Matt Goodman?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thrilled.
Lovely.
Hello, gentlemen.
Mate.
How are we?
Yeah, good. Good stuff. All right, dude. So to kick it all off, please explain to everyone what is your role in the club and how long have you been at CICC?
Well, I don't even know if this counts, given I haven't actually done it in anger yet. But I was appointed at last year's AGM as captain of Clapham Cricket Club, a thing of which I am, eternally proud and grateful. I hold you guys in the greatest esteem, but feel a little bit like a fraud until I actually walk out onto the pitch with you guys. So.
Well, you've already got a better record than most of our captains, so you'll be fine.
It's not a losing record, is what you mean.
Exactly.
Played 0, won 0, lost 0.
Mate, I'd take it. I'd take it and run.
I don't think a resignation now would be in the right spirit.
Absolutely.
But I've been playing for Clapham for something like 7 or 8 years now, I think.
All right. How did you get involved?
I went to university with the man, the myth, the legend, James Frecknell. And I'm sure we'll come back on to that at some point. But James was short a couple of times playing. I think my first ever game for Clapham was down in Bradford-on-Avon, and they were a little bit short, as we often are. And they needed
definitely
extra
a staple
hands.
Of village.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was maybe 2 days before I got the call up to come and play a match. And yeah, it was good. I've kind of been in and out. I was playing league for a few years before.
I love that you say you got the call up to come play. Sorry, it's not like an international fixture. You were begged, I presume, and eventually gave in to the begging. That's
it didn't require much begging.
And the fact that the call up was from league to Clapham.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, there are some hallowed heights, and these are one of them. So when the call comes, you got to answer it.
Yeah. I'd like to work out how many people James Frecknell's responsible for getting into the club, actually. Me, you.
We should start a tally.
Quite a few people, I think it'll be.
Clack,
yeah. Rid,
Curtis.
Jimmy,
Rid.
yeah. Yeah, God.
I mean, the list goes on and on.
James Frecknell CC.
Wow.
St. James of Prague Cricket Club.
These are all stories that are definitely going to come out when we speak to him later. Definitely.
Oh, man. It'll be a fly on the wall for that conversation.
Yeah, indeed. So obviously for most people listening, Well, I don't know why you are for now, but I mean, if you are, thank you very much. You probably picked up on the fact 3 different accents are going on here. So I'm really, really interested, and this is one of the reasons why we started this. What's your earliest memory of cricket, Matt?
So, again, probably, and in hopefully not a particularly creepy way, involves James Frecknell again. So
Okay.
I came over to the UK in 2001 to study at university and did a year, which is where I met James. We rowed for the college boat club together for about 6 months, and then we all know James's real passion is cricket. And as the spring started to warm up and he started to think about getting into the nets, he suggested that I come down and join him for a net or two in the college grounds. They had a little net set up, and basically went from there. Played in the nets for a little while, had no idea what I was doing in terms of a bowling action, had no idea really how to hold a bat.
Was that the first time you ever saw cricket or knew what it was?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Wow.
And it wasn't sort of our standard sort of aggressive JH at the oval style bowling. Let's be honest, but it was something where I had no idea mechanically what I was doing, trying to figure out exactly how to convert a kid who grew up playing baseball into playing a sort of classical on drive.
Sorry. So when have you ever played a classical on drive?
I think you'll find, Josh.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be rude.
that I very rarely get the opportunity to play a classical on drive. Given the standard of bowling that we play. It's either in swinging Yorkers on my toes or so wide that I can barely get the bat to it.
Well, that's it. It is hard to play it on drive off a short long hop or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. But it was shambolic for a little while. I think I played one game for Homerton in that 2001 season. Maybe played 2. It was quite a wet term, I think, until we had several rained off. No, I definitely played at least 2. And then at the end of the season, they presented me with a how to play cricket book, and just to twist the knife in good sports club sort of vernacular. But they gave me a hard time, which was completely deserved, and I basically fell in love with the game from there on out. I didn't really start playing properly though until I moved in the States back to or out to DC, and ended up being in Washington DC in the summer with nothing to do. This was it was 2004, so I was 24, 23 going on 24 that summer, and started to play for a team. I just emailed the league and was like, I don't really have any skills that I can share with the team, but I'd be more than happy to play. And they stuck me in a team in Bowie, Maryland, which was kind of the other side of DC. So it was like a 45-minute drive to get over there. And the team who were there basically went, you have no idea how to play this either. And I didn't really, but it didn't stop me wanting to play and trying to learn. And ended up playing 2 seasons for Bowie, 2004, 2005. Captained in the 2005 season simply because nobody else wanted the job. And I had no idea what I was doing, which didn't go down well with some of the guys who had grown up playing cricket and didn't really want to have me captaining them. But I managed to keep peace between the different factions for the year. And then started playing properly when I moved back over to the UK.
God, well, brilliant. That sounds amazing. No, it's like I still can't imagine being like a full-grown adult and walking into the nets, and that's the first time I ever saw cricket. And you actually stayed. Like, I think even as a child walking into nets is a terrifying prospect. Like, okay, so I have to stand here surrounded by this cage, and these bowlers may bowl whatever the hell they want at me over and over again. And you were like, yeah, no, that's far more inviting than just going back to doing whatever the hell I was before. It's incredible. Well, I suppose that's why you became a bowler, a fast bowler rather than a batsman.
It was out of no sense of sort of vindictiveness against those people who had introduced me to the game. Let's be honest.
So that's what it is. You have to like the people you play with. Oh, right.
Well, weirdly, that kind of works out for Clapham.
So,
now it does, yeah.
so were your early cricketing experiences at those clubs, like Homerton and the one in Maryland, were they quite like boozy in terms of being like village cricket here is quite a kind of a lax affair, or were they a little bit more serious?
No, they were definitely boozy and a bit lax. So there were 21 teams in DC across the two leagues, and we consistently finished somewhere around between either 20 and or 21. And it wasn't, so we weren't playing a particularly good standard anyway. We were there because we were having a good time. And in DC, you get a lot of funny looks from people because it's in America in general, you get a lot of funny looks because we just don't play cricket in the States.
Yeah.
And nobody particularly, the fact that we were just out on the pitch playing was half the fun for the group that was there. We played some amazing little pitches. There's one just off the back of the Jefferson Monument off the mall in DC, which is a great place to play. Yeah, it's beautiful. And it's on one of those tourist tracks where people walk by on the way between the monuments, and you get this sort of stopping trade of passersby going, I really don't know what you're doing. What are these people doing? And in the middle of it, you're just like, stop talking to me. I'm on the boundary. I'm trying to make sure that nothing goes past here. Yeah, exactly. And at the time, the only thing I could really do was field. I could bowl a bit, but I was just fielding and basically could swing the bat. I grew up playing baseball. To go back to your point about the cage, Alex, I grew up in batting cages, so that wasn't a big deal.
Were you a batter in baseball or a pitcher?
Yeah, I was a batsman.
Okay.
Well, I was an outfielder. Really, I was much better in the outfield than anything. I had a good arm.
So you were like Rid, really, specialist fielder.
I mean, so I have hit home runs in baseball. I'm like sixes in Rid. Yeah. I hope you're listening to this, Hollins.
Yeah, I mean, Rid will be our first international listener, and he will just leave straight away. He's been slagged off in episode 1.
We're not driving people away. Bringing them in, Josh. But it was something that, when you're ingrained, or when the way of playing a sport is ingrained at that young age, it's really difficult to then transition to, say, a different way of swinging a bat.
Yeah.
And so that transition from being really right arm heavy, really strong on the pull and the cut, that's still where my strong shots are. Now I can play straight, contrary to popular opinion, Josh. But I just grew up playing those shots, and it's harder to break those old things that are ingrained.
Well, so how many? So about 7 years in Clapham, about 7 years at Clapham Inn. So you've seen a lot of teams kind of change over. Do you have a highlight, best moment in those 7 years, other than obviously being picked for captain?
I mean, it's pretty high on the list. I think the really fun things for me are the fixtures. The real fixtures of the year, not just the fixture list in that sense, but like Goodrich. Every year, our tours every year, I think, have been really good. Particularly the last sort of 4 or 5 years it's been really great to be in a new place, playing cricket in different environments with people that I want to spend time with.
Yeah, you say different environments. France wasn't really an environment, more of a quagmire.
The bits of cricket that we played outdoors were in a quagmire, and the ones we played downstairs in the rec room.
Very true. The indoor cricket
were brutal, especially when Hedge started swinging.
It was ridiculous
for the fences. It was bad. But those environments where you get to experience something new with the people that you want to spend the time with, or the real the fixtures of the year for me are the things that I really value out of Clapham.
Nice. That's a good answer. Cool. All right, I'm going to have to go the other end then. Low light, low point.
I mean, I could go for somebody. Getting rained off is always the worst. But I mean, being dropped on a 5
really stopped you.
that was
me?
bad. No,
it wasn't you.
That was 7-0 2 years ago.
7-0 a few years ago. Yeah, that was
name and shame.
Newbie.
Newbie?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
and
it
hit his hands and it just went straight out, and he should have come. It's bad. But to be honest, I like Josh said, even when you walk across London carrying a heavy kit bag, or even when you drive in like I do and you have a terrible game, it all kind of just gets washed away at the end with a few beers and an after action report.
Yeah.
And the fines book are always
I always find the fines is good
cathartic.
It makes the trip worth coming, win or lose those sessions.
Yeah. Nice one. Josh, any questions for Dad?
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. So, Matt, I've got a few questions.
Yep.
First of all, which was the more special moment in your life, being awarded the CICC captaincy or the birth of your son, Joe?
It's a tough call, Josh.
Yeah, you can go away and think about it if you like, and get back to us another time. Just
can I have a bit of a blend here in terms of the answer of the two? So one of the proudest moments I felt for a long while is playing cricket in the garden during the lockdown in the last few weeks. I tossed one up to Joe. He's been getting a lot better at his batting, and he absolutely smoked a pole shot. Like it ricocheted off the wall of the house and bounced. Anybody in the way would have lost a head. It was a fantastic shot, and I was super proud of him for hitting it.
Wow!
But just watching him grow and change has been really, really fun.
Yeah. No,
starting to love cricket
kind of
as
the
well,
answer
which is
I
nice.
expected. Yeah, I wasn't.
Fair enough.
Kind of hoped you weren't going to say CICC. Anyway, so as a fielder, even in village cricket, I am more than a little scared of dropping a catch off your bowling, as you've kind of already mentioned. What's going through your mind?
You wouldn't know it.
When you kind of grunt in recognition of my sincere apology from square leg, what's going through your mind when you're walking back to your mark, Matt?
It's less of a sort of formulated thought, Josh, and more just this like roiling sea of emotion and fury, which
that comes across.
I find it hard to communicate, and so the only way I can verbalize it, I think, is by the grunt.
Fair enough. Have you ever thought about getting people out like in a proper way as opposed to caught a square leg?
Well, so I would do that if we had, say, slips.
What slips that could catch me?
Yeah, I mean, Joe doesn't really count. Really, he just doesn't want to run.
Well, slip in our level of cricket is just who's not in the mood to run around that day, who's more hungover.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, man.
I mean, we should ask James about your catching the slips. Make sure that goes in.
What was that? 20 minutes in, my hat trick drop. Yeah, sure. So, Matt, you are undisputed karaoke champion of the club, despite my best efforts at Rowan's. So, first of all, what song would you sing if cricket had if it had its own form of Eurovision? And then, secondly, Who in the club would you like to do a duet with?
If we had our own version of Eurovision.
Yeah. What song?
I mean, I really enjoyed "Don't Stop
Village.
Believing" by Journey.
Yeah, you really do kill that song. In the
It's
best
really
possible
fun.
way.
It's fun to sing.
Absolutely.
I think "Total Eclipse of the Heart" would be
Strong.
a great duet.
Do you drop it down a semitone or anything, or can you get that at its full pitch?
I could probably do it at full pitch, but I don't want to test that. I don't want to test that.
Cue the music.
I've got to look after my vocal cords for shouting at you guys on the field.
And who would you like to do a duet? Who would you like to do a duet with in the club? Who do you think would be like the Sonny to your Cher?
I think Ed Greggs would be
sorely
fun.
disappointed if you didn't choose him for "Don't Stop Believing."
Yeah, true. Sorry, did you say Ed Greggs?
Yeah, I feel like Ed would commit.
Wow. Okay.
Ed would throw himself at it.
Yeah, I reckon it'd be a good old crooner, Ed. Yeah.
Sort of Dean Martin.
Yeah.
Ain't that a kick in the head?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was thinking about James' fretting injuries and getting kicked in the head. So Matt, do you shadow bowl around your own home?
Occasionally. Yeah.
Do you? Have you ever knocked anything over?
No.
No. That's disappointing. I once walking down the street in LA with my family when I was about probably 12. I was shadow bowling down the street and some old woman was walking behind me. And as I threw my arm back with great force, I smacked her in the face.
Oh, God.
Really badly. My parents were very apologetic. It was quite...
Because it was LA, she also would have been like,
yeah, she had
what
no
the
idea
fuck
what I was
are you
doing. Yeah,
doing?
exactly. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then, so Matt, because I know you once played league cricket, so you kind of know both sides of this sport that we all love. And other than not being able to get in the team anymore, what are the reasons you switched to non-competitive village cricket?
I don't necessarily agree with the not being able to get into the team anymore bit.
I'm
let me just, for the record, state that.
Only messing.
But what I guess I'm at that stage where there was one of the interesting things I found about league cricket is that there comes a level at which you realize that you are not able to go any higher. At least for me, particularly having started quite late and being conscious of my own limitations. I was never going to get a call up into the first team. I played for a town side for probably about 7 years, and there was a little bit of overlap with Clapham. And captain probably for 4 of those, I think. The challenge of one, recognizing your own limitations and knowing that you're not going to go up the ladder any further, and test yourself any more robustly, any more strongly, does take a little bit of adjustment. And about the same time, I was sort of finding the limits of what I could do and where how I could bowl, how I could bat, the way I could play. You start to, especially as you spend time in a club, you start to get into the sort of the small team or small town politics of a club, small club politics, I guess. Different people wanting different things out of cricket, different communities developing internally within that club. And the challenge for me, I think, was having the balance of Clapham on one side, where it's actually I'm playing with the people that I want to play with.
Yeah.
There's no judgment against how I'm playing and what I'm doing, versus the sort of the hard facts of stats in the league, where again you can get some really good players, get some really dodgy ones. You can have good days and bad days. And those league wins feel good, but they're sort of almost on behalf of a group that you don't necessarily, feel that wedded to.
Yeah, that's it. I imagine I've never played league cricket, as you might not be surprised to hear. But I imagine the feeling of watching like someone who's just got into the game, for example, like one of the newbies that we've had over the last few seasons, seeing them hit their first six or getting their first wicket in a village game. I imagine that would be so much more special than watching some dickhead you play with get another wicket to win a match easily. Like, I personally find it so much more enjoyable to like cheer on your friends than to be part of a team that's not of that spirit.
Well, you're just kind of thrown together, aren't you?
Yeah.
In most league games, it's grouped by geography or by family links, and sometimes that's really powerful, particularly in smaller communities, because these are the people that you're living next to or around. But there's a sense of community within Clapham that sort of transcends the geography, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And we're playing it because we love the sport, and we do want to play competitive cricket, but we don't want to. It's more important that everybody enjoys their cricket than it is that we walk away with a particular result.
Definitely. Yeah, there's matches that I've played for Clapham where I loved the match so much and I can't remember who won, which I think is a really nice thing. Yeah. There's games that I loved, and I remember like the weather, and I remember the beers, and the first few of them anyway. But I won't remember who won, and I think that's an amazing thing. Whereas I imagine that's much more frowned upon anyway in league cricket.
Yeah, you're right. It genuinely doesn't matter. There's so many clubs that we've played against or teams that we've played against over the years where I know that we've played them like 5 or 6 times, and you think back, it's like who's won more, who's lost more. It's like who knows and who actually gives a shit. It's fine. Like, it's like did we beat them last year? So did they beat us? So now we have to beat them this year. It does not matter. All I remember is that at least 6 of them came to the pub afterwards. So they're damn great team.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. So Matt, you're American.
I am.
Yeah, and you're playing a sport. Yeah, well done. You're playing a sport which is pretty much just fully non-American. What attributes do you think being American brings to the game that really enable you to kind of shine amongst us Brits?
So I mean, I appreciate the British stiff upper lip. I do, but I do feel that Americans tend to thrive in difficult circumstances. I remember a game against Banstead a couple seasons back when the rain was blowing horizontal, and we were defending a really low total, and they thought they were just going to knock it off really easily. And
I love this game.
It was a great game.
Oh my God.
I loved it so much. I was in my element. I was quite happy being the sort of, I don't know. I liked the adversity. I liked the way it challenged us.
In my head, I've got the end of The Rock where Nicolas Cage gets down on his knees with 2 flares above his head as the planes fly over the top. That's kind of what I'm imagining you at the end of that match. Rain-soaked.
It wasn't dissimilar.
It wasn't just okay, good.
Yeah, it was that crossed with the scene in The Notebook when Gosling and McAdams, embrace just after he's built the house. Like it was a little bit of that as well. They're both saturated on the film poster. So maybe just in my head.
Maybe, but I don't remember that.
I can
don't
see
remember anyone holding me the way Ryan Gosling does Rachel McAdams.
It was. It's all I'm saying is it was romantic. That's all.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
And then one final question from me, Matt, is that if you were offered the chance of hitting a home run at Bush Stadium, which is, I believe, home of your beloved St. Louis Cardinals, or knocking off stump out of the ground at Lord's, which would you go for?
Oh, Lord's, 100%.
Oh, really? Okay, good.
Oh, didn't even think about it.
Just checking.
No, it's not even a question.
Yeah.
I would love to play at Lord's. I've been to so many tests, and we went to the Women's World Cup final last year. just it's such a special place.
Yeah,
because it's a special place for the whole of the sport.
Yeah,
it's not just a special place for the club that I grew up with, in baseball, but it's special to me. And it's baseball and cricket's a really interesting tension for me because I do still love baseball, still follow it, still watch my Cardinals, but cricket is the thing that has consumed most of my adult life.
Yeah.
It feels like it's the hobby that I've chosen. It's the one that resonates more with me.
Yeah.
Baseball's still my heart, but I guess cricket's got my soul.
Nice. That's the tagline.
That's really cool. Absolutely.
In fact, Alex, what about you? What would you rather get a wicket at Lords or the SCG or MCG?
That's a good question. It's probably got to be Lords as well for a similar reason to what Matt said. It's the home, isn't it?
It's strange for a sport to have that, I think.
Yeah. There's not many sports in the world that do actually genuinely have that. Like where would you say is the home of football? It doesn't really have one, does it?
No.
Doncaster Rovers.
Where?
Doncaster. No, probably not.
Couldn't even point at Doncaster on a map, Josh.
What do you mean you couldn't point to Doncaster on a map? Fucking hell. That's where I was born. Yeah. Anyway.
No, it'd definitely have to be Lords as well. And also, I guess, for the fact that, it would be a lot harder to take a wicket as a spinner at Lords as what it would to
I love
MCG.
that you're thinking about it actually logically.
That's a good question. Yeah. Would you bowl with the slope or against the slope, Whaley?
Oh, which way does the slope run?
You'd need to bowl from the nursery end, so you going with your spins going with the slope.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, there we go. I think Josh has covered that for me. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. Nursery end, Matt. Nursery end. Okay. I want to just rewind for a second. Josh's question about being American made something pop into my head that I realized I didn't even think to ask you, and how could I not have? Your being American and this tie to cricket has led you to somehow claiming some sort of record, I believe. Matt, would you be able to tell us a little bit about that, possibly?
I could.
Oh, sure.
Not that I would know it off the top of my head or anything. But so it was Clapham's first international tour for a while, I think. It was 2014. Was that right? We went to Prague for the Pepsi Cup, which is a set of T20s, which was organized by a chap who seems to be one of the leading lights of the Czech cricket scene. He put on a fantastic tournament. They had ICC umpires from a couple of different places around Europe. We had lots of different teams from around Europe. We were one of two British teams, is that right? And in the final, we played what amounted to Prague CC, but was effectively the Czech national team. And a couple of the guys had, particularly one of the chaps that I got out, had played for the Czech national team as an ICC standard. So, and with ICC umpires, I figure having got out an international cricketer with an ICC umpire looking on, I would be classed as the first American to take an ICC wicket in the Czech Republic. I think that probably applies to lots of different places where I go, but I don't know that many other American cricketers. But
it's a strong stat.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I can't even imagine about taking an international wicket, let alone it being verified or.
Well, says the man who has one of the two hat tricks for the club.
Yeah.
Wait, did you say one of two hat tricks?
Yeah.
Who's got the other hat trick?
No one has got another hat.
I'm the
only hat trick.
I'm sorry.
God,
right.
Jesus Christ. Unbelievable. I thought the sabotage thing was proof enough.
Oh, see, I thought Pete had one. but maybe I'll
you might have one for another lesser club, but the CC.
not PVS. I meant Pete.
Yeah,
who founded Clapham.
No, just me. Yeah, well.
Okay. The only other thing we need to cover is should be asking everyone this. I probably should ask this at the start. What's the story of your nickname? Obviously, we did Dad a few times. Why Dad?
I feel like I have to spend most of my time looking after you.
Just me.
Dare you?
Not just you, the rest of you, all of you. I don't know. I feel like I've done a little bit of either organizing tours or shepherded people around. Was also as a father, I do bring Joe along to matches. And so there was a Goodrich probably 2 years ago where he just stood on the sidelines just shouting, "Daddy, Daddy, 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 I've got an apple, Daddy."
But that was point,
one of my favorite moments. Yeah.
You
Sorry,
don't
Josh.
like it when we call you Daddy though on the pitch, do you?
No, it's only you, Josh, and there's always a sexual undertone to it. So it just makes me feel uncomfortable
about it.
Come on, Daddy.
That's my favorite thing. Keep it tight, Daddy.
That always
Keep
weirds
it tight,
me out
Dad.
slightly.
Get it up there, Daddy.
Oh God!
I do worry about you, Josh.
That was Alex that said that. Fucking hell. That's way worse.
But yeah, that's I think
that's one of my favorite things about that nickname.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Josh?
No, I feel like we've kind of grilled Matt enough. I need to let him get back to his spy stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, I need to get back to work.
Just before we do, sorry. We are going to be playing this with everyone. Matt, you weren't there for the Santa pub crawl, but
of course.
people that will be familiar. Did you forget about this?
Shit, I did completely forget about this.
All right. So we're going to run a little in-club competition over the pod. Matt, I believe that you are familiar with a certain game. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but it's as part of this game, you need to kind of, what's the best way to say it? You need to, I suppose, articulate what a word might be, but you are not allowed to say the word itself. You are only articulating what that word is. Are you familiar with a game of this nature?
Yeah, I think I've heard of it. Again, I can't remember the name.
Cool. Yeah, I can't remember the name either. But anyway, the name that I've come up with, my version of the game, is Articulate. So welcome to Articulate. There are three. Good. There are three categories. This is going to. I am certainly ironing out some bugs with this at the moment, but there are three categories for you to choose from. When you choose a category, I'm going to WhatsApp you a link. You open that link up. It'll. Have you got your phone with you? I should have asked.
It's over there. I'll get it.
Cool. Cheers. You open up that link, and that link will be like a randomizer, and that's what's going to provide you with your words. So you just click on rerun every time you want it to go. I'm probably going to end up cutting this bit out, don't worry, but probably not. So all I need from you is which category you would like. So there's going to be 30 seconds for each one.
Hang on 1 second.
He's getting his phone. Yeah, he's getting his phone.
And I'm just going to...
Josh, you don't know the categories yet, do you?
I don't know the categories, and if I'll let Matt get back in.
So Josh doesn't know the categories. These are all related to cricket in some way.
Matt,
and
I'm going to...
The idea is... Oh, sorry, go on, Josh.
Sorry, I'm going to preface this quickly before we start by saying, Matt, I am terrible at cricket knowledge. I am awful, so I apologise if you're saying something really obvious, like who captained Australia in the 2005 Ashes. I will probably struggle.
All right.
But it was Ricky Ponting, maybe?
It was, yeah.
There you go.
It was well done. Well done. Very good. That's not worth any points, though.
Damn it.
No points.
So yeah, obviously, everyone that we get, every guest we get on is going to be our describer, and Mr. Josh Shinner will be our guesser, and we're going to keep a running tally, a little leaderboard and see who can get the most out of it. So our 3 categories, Matt.
This is like a batting
if I
partnership.
could ask you to choose one.
It is, Matt. It is.
Kind of, yeah. Except Josh is. Well, I guess he is the opener every time, isn't it? Just with a new partner. Yeah. That's pretty much how the season goes.
Alistair Cook.
3 categories, if you could.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly. If we could choose one of these 3 categories, Matt, the choices are equipment and grounds, on field, or one I could only describe as DB's wheelhouse.
Ooh.
So I wonder what that could be.
I'm going to leave DB's wheelhouse for DB, but I'll go with on field.
Cool. On field. All right.
Shit.
I think that's it. Is that right? Yeah, that's the one.
This is going to be bad.
It's going to be great. I can't wait. But I'm just going to text you if it works. All right. Oh, my God. It didn't work too well, but it should come through.
Okay.
All right, so click on that link. The first one that comes up will be your first one, but don't start until I say. So you got a bit extra time to look at your first one, figure out what you're going to do for it. Obviously, I can't see them, but I know what they are, and I just need my timer. So it's going to be 30 seconds, and obviously I don't have I might put in the countdown clock or something like that, but I think there's probably going to be issues if I try to do that. So I need to come up with some other form of timer, but I'll worry about that later if we actually care about it. All right. Are you ready, Matt?
Yes.
Are you ready, Josh?
Yes.
Okay. Let's play Articulate and go.
So Josh, this is in front of the stumps.
The crease, popping crease.
So this is what the umpire will signal when one of the batsmen doesn't make it to the other end. This is the one that you get by swinging your arm back and forth in a horizontal manner in front of your face. This is the one that Rid keeps trying to play. Oh,
sorry.
Oh, we can get the last one,
gentlemen.
Surely you get the last one because you started.
Get the last one then. Go on. What's the last one? Keep going. Everyone gets the last one when you start it. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Started, so I'll finish. This is the shot that Rid keeps trying to play.
Which fucking one? I presume reverse sweep.
Yes.
We got 4.
Matt, I love the lack of urgency in you asking these. You were just so Josh, this is the one where it's like a Friends episode.
You got 4 out of 4, didn't you?
Yeah, I did get well described. That was great.
So, okay.
You're top of the leaderboard. Well done.
Thanks.
Yeah, well done, Matt. Very
I'll take
good.
the small victories.
Yeah.
Lovely. Good stuff. All right, we covered it all.
I think so.
So how are you going to sign these things off?
I'm going to do it by saying thank you very much for joining us today on Village Idiots. If you listened, we really, really appreciate it. We haven't got a Twitter or anything set up or anything like that, but I presume we might do so. If not, then I'd imagine the only people listening right now are the ones in our group. Team. So if you have any feedback, just put it on the WhatsApp group. But Matthew, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew.
Well, thank you very much, Joshua Alexander. Very much appreciated. I'm very honored for being first guest on what I hope will be a long-running fixture.